pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item up would be consideration of approval for the minutes of the April 12th, 2023 meeting, which you all received via email, hopefully in red, and they were filed. So motion approved. Fred Ingram makes a motion to approve. I'll second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right. Next item we have is going to be our chief's reports. We will start with you, Chief McCollum.
So the first thing is we had an issue with one of the older ticks. You may have bought that one, right? It's an MSA model.
The green ones,
The
green case
a
with
little
the,
bit heavier, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened was it was haloing on the screen.
Yep.
So we sent it out. Those units, probably remember, I think they're upwards of 9,000, 10,000 originally when they first came on.
yeah, I want to say they were like 85.
Yeah, very expensive unit. So I sent it out and they found out they could repair it for a little over 700. So I did that. Because, you know, I told them, I said, if it's more than half,
Yeah.
then forget. But I mean, that's kind of my rule of thumb. If it's more than half of the cost of the unit, I'll do it. But 700 and change, $732.
Yep.
And it's back in service.
Okay, perfect.
So and then the two spares we have, it was great that we did what we did. And would allow me to do that because Stone Hill years down, they were able to borrow one of our spares.
Okay.
To use while theirs was down.
Perfect.
So that's what they're for. There's spares for that and there's spares for training.
Beautiful.
The budget, we just started spending. I got the masks in that were approved. We're getting bags made for those, and those will be issued out. I am buying some more of the glasses that go in the masks because we're out now, and it's going to be one for that need. That average is. The frames themselves are not that bad, and then the average per person is somewhere between $250 and $300. That's something that we have to provide. But I let them know exactly what they can get that we will pay for. If they want extras after that, that's on that. Everybody's just gotten what I told them to get. It's worked out great. Gear, we're getting ready to order gear. It's coming up, I think, the next couple of weeks. We get that going, get that ordered, underway, early. I think I let you know last time that the hose, bladders, and nozzles were all tested.
Yep.
Everything passed except 2 nozzles that we got parts for and we'll repair. They work fine. The aerial device itself will be tested Monday. They're supposed to arrive between 10:30 and 11. To do that, it's the same company does everything.
Okay.
We're getting ready to order hose. Pricing on all the hose now, $8,000 in the budget. So we need to replace some 2.5, a little bit of 3-inch. Pretty good on the 1.75 and the 2-inch now, and then 5 inch is going to be the other thing that we're going to look to replace some of that. You'll get some more.
Okay.
Because, you know, rule of thumb, you want to keep X amount on the shelf ready to go dry when you use it, so you can come back and put dry on and wash what you use. Well, that's basically where we're at. I mean, we're getting out, we're running calls. You know, we had a small structure fire on Sunset Hill during the day. It was great. Bethel and Stony Hill got out a total of, I think it was 7 pieces of equipment, right? Bethel PD got there first and hit it with an extinguisher to knock it down. And then our guys took over when we got there and did all the overhaul and make sure everything was out. So downstairs basement, laundry combination laundry kitchen.
Oh,
It's you know, it could have been a really bad fire if there was a 14-year-old home with her brothers who were younger,
yeah.
and she realized there was a fire and called it in. If they weren't home, it would have been a very bad fire. So that worked out well.
All right.
That's really it. That's where we're at.
Okay. Sounds good.
Chief, on the aerial testing,
Yes.
you still have something come out and provide their annual service contract on that as well?
If we need to, yes, we do. I have this company come in and then they tell me if there's something wrong, and then we call something. Because it's a something also.
Yeah, it was something always
Yeah.
provided an annual service contract, which we always
Yeah.
did in addition to annually.
And then the other thing is, the destructive test, I think will be done again next year. And it's gonna be due for tires, unfortunately, so that'll be a little bit of an expense. We're checking the dates to make sure it may be the end of this year in this budget, or it's gonna be next year, but. And engine 6 is gonna be in next year's budget, because it's gonna be coming up on 7 years old, believe it or not.
Okay,
All the other tires have been replaced on all the other rigs, so I think they're cheap. So we're in good shape there, and it's staggered out. So it's not a big expense every year for tires.
gotcha. All right, thank you. Next up, Chief Baker, Stony Hill, please, sir.
Right now we have engine 3 that's out of service, had a, temperature issue. Which we did believe it was the thermostat that was, sticking. So we had an alarm going off, so we sent that up to GK. It's there now. Had an issue also with the air conditioning. They're planning on trying to fix that now, so things are starting to creep into it now that it's an 18-year-old apparatus. Obviously, before that, we have even the rescue that's 24 years old, so things are getting old up there. We need to start making some decisions. As far as the house goes, we had the project of cameras to be installed, but the town lost an electrician, so that project's been kind of put on hold.
Okay,
So nothing's been installed.
Gotcha.
I do have a box full of cameras sitting in one of the storerooms. But wiring needs to be run, outlets need to be put in. So there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done on that. Still looking to see how we're going to proceed on a new chief's truck.
yeah,
Um,
hopefully we can discuss that a little
we
while.
have started to get in some of the items that we purchased through the ARPA funds. We've got in the obviously the AEDs, that was quick. Our ambulance is supposed to be going out for service hopefully in the next couple of weeks, where they're going to try and coordinate the power load. The power load is sitting in the bays at the firehouse ready to install, but we've been told by Stryker the stretcher, because everybody's ordering them under ARPA grant money. They're just so backlogged on trying to produce them. Probably still at least a couple of months out. But the good news is the new power load will work on the older stretcher. And then we just have to wait for the new stretcher.
So you can have that installed now.
Right, so the power load can be installed now, so that is going to be done by Stryker and the ambulance dealership, because there's actually some wiring that Stryker won't do. That's before their parts start. A electrical connection that has to be put in, so the dealer's going to take care of that, and they're aware of it. They've done it for many other services already. As far as training goes, we just had a mutual joint training with Bethel doing water rescue, because we got some water rescue suits, and they were helping us getting acclimated to using those. So it was a great drill for that. We also have some upcoming drills coming up for elevator rescue, rope rescue, and it's also offered to both departments. We had an issue, as Chief McCollum said, with one of our cameras. Unfortunately, ours was a catastrophic failure. It wasn't able to be repaired, but we were able to, through what was left in the balance of last year's budget, purchase a replacement camera. We also had one in the ARPA funds, which we dedicated that camera to RIT. So we now have one on each of the first two apparatus, and then one that's dedicated for the RIT team.
Okay, can you explain where you keep your RIT equipment on which apparatuses? There was some question on that the other night.
Stony Hill has
If I
theirs
could
on
know.
the rescue.
All your RIT equipment is on your
We have
rescue?
the fastboards on there. We have a Stokes basket with all of the a RIT air pack, chainsaws, everything comes off the rescue. And that's why we put the additional tick on the rescue.
Okay, yeah, I know Bethel had a RIT drill the other night and they questioned if you had some on engine 3 and the rescue, or if it was all on one
No,
apparatus.
it's all on the rescue.
We do have a rescue pack on engine 3 also.
Every first two piece has a RIT air pack, but that's the extent of the
Okay,
equipment.
We have that on stick, squad, and the front is the red designated piece for down. It rolls with everything on.
Because at the time, excuse me, we figured that the first two piece should be able to go in and help a down firefighter.
Absolutely.
So we bought 3 packs, but as far as fast forward and other equipment, just the one on the rescue. So if that does go specifically as a writ responsibility for mutual aid, then it's the rescue that's going.
I failed to mention too, fire 2 is gonna start again at Bethel.
Okay.
I believe Stony Hill has, 7, right, coming to us?
6 or 7.
6 or 7. We have several downtown of our own members.
It's gonna be a big class.
It's a huge money saver to do it in-house.
Yep.
And all the instructors give their time freely. There's no charge. So we're paying basically for food, drink, and books for our students. And anybody coming from the outside has to buy their own books
State test.
and the state test.
Very good.
You said fire and
Firefighter 2.
what is that? a class?
It's in certification.
Certification. Firefighter 2. Firefighter 1, firefighter 2, instructor, and it goes up.
All right. The next item on our agenda is discussion with the first selectman on outstanding issues.
Okay,
So
sure, we got a lot of those. Where you want to start?
we had I had met with the first selectman and we went over some things, so hopefully you can touch on that.
So, our contract is signed with ESCI.
Okay,
I haven't heard back from Joe Powers
okay,
yet. He's
Yeah.
supposed to contact us
okay,
on the start part of that.
Okay.
So keep you posted on, when they get back to us.
yes,
And he'll give us an idea of the scope and how he has to work with us and all that.
okay,
And hopefully we'll move on fairly quickly. That was the big one.
yes,
We talked about.
yeah, yeah,
That's a big thing. I have some other things that just kind of wanted to update you on issues wise. I think we covered a little bit, we're looking at EMS service. I
okay,
think you are aware. Right now, we probably give the best service possible.
Yeah.
The way we have everything set up, but it's costly. The Board of Finance has expressed a lot of issues with the fact that you can't really see where the costs are, and are we doing it most efficiently? And then we've uncovered in this process that with Stony Hill especially, it's been difficult. They're actually losing money in this. We have to figure out a way that the town can be on the hook for that. In a way that works for everybody. One of the things we've been talking about is the possibility of combining PSAs. And Tom Galliford and I met with OEM about that, and it could be tricky. It can be really tricky to do it because we probably have to do it in one of our fire departments now or an ambulance association, a new entity of some kind. Or get the PD approved to do ambulance, which that's not really, if we're gonna do something. Yeah, that's not, I mean, I think a third party entity of some kind is probably the way to go, but it's just gonna be time consuming and we really, really have to do it in a way that we don't risk, somebody trying to come in and swipe our PSAs.
Yeah.
Right, because when you do this in the process, you almost put yours up for bid.
Yeah.
The state gets to decide. Now, obviously, the fact that the town has been running it, they're gonna lean towards us, but if we ever did that direction, we just have to see.
The first selectman's recommendation on that holds a lot of weight.
Mhm.
If you make a recommendation towards a certain service to provide that service, your recommendation carries a lot of weight. So when I was chief, I made these proposals to Selectman Knickerbocker and and we went back and forth with the chief and Stony Hill at the time, and it just never really got off the ground. And
Yeah. What we need to,
this current plan we have was put in place by Selectman Burke at the time, and it was, basically got the PD involved into it because the two fire departments come to an agreement as to who was gonna hold the PSA, but I think from what I've been hearing, I think the fire departments are kind of coming together and agreeing that it's time, and the service is just, the call volume is just getting too demanding for the way it's being run.
well, and then there's the other part of it too, when you have the biggest portion of the service areas in Bethel's district, right? Stony Hill has a lot of, the area up there that we don't get as much reimbursement.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they're likely to be in the hole because of the type of calls that they do too. So somehow we have to all work together to make sure this evens out. And we're still giving the best service at the most efficient rate. We also have to address Reading. Our costs with the paramedic program, our cost to Bethel is $540,000 a year. That's what it is right now. Reading, I believe, pays about $260,000 a year. And they pay some of our vehicle costs, but we bear the brunt of that, and we take the gasoline. Costs. You know, and that's, so we are picking up the lion's share of the costs for sure. And I know there's a real appetite for Nuvance, right, to keep something, keep Reading in the mix somehow. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to make the decision what works for us. I think if Nuvance had their way, they would do ALS ambulance, one ALS ambulance a day, and then have a hybrid, you have the Chase or Fly Car option 2. It's that product works best for them. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all gonna come together. We're gonna come together and figure out what works best for our residents, you know. The goal was quality. And the goal was efficiency, quality first, meaning patient outcomes and what happens to our residents. So we're still working on that. The EMS commission, I think, meets again, might be tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Tomorrow. Yep.
Here.
Yep.
I have to say.
I've got a lot of meetings. So, yeah, so we'll talk more about that. So just kind of want to give you guys a little bit of an update of where it is. I mean, and when we started this, it was just making sure we get it all out in the open and we figure out what the best way is possible.
Yeah.
If we figure out we're doing it right, we'll keep doing what we do. But I think there's definitely some improvements. And we've also found out through this process, we had mutual memorandums of understanding between the departments of the town. Those have expired. So I think those are some things we're gonna have to look at in this whole process. We have, we signed a year agreement with Nuvance to carry us through. So we're not under some real tough. I mean, if we can do it a year, great. We actually have an option for a second year. But, I want to give this some time and make sure we get it done, but I don't want it to, we're going to keep pressing. And I'm not going to let it die on the vine or anything like that. It's been that way for too long. Other thing we're talking about, you mentioned the vehicle. We're going to put that forth to the Board of Finance first. Anything we're going to do, I'm sending it to them first. Because if they want to deny it or whatever, they need to know. And if we're going to try to do any kind of ARPA or a combination deal, I want everything to go to them first. Because these are big capital projects. And at some point over this next year, we're going to have to come to grips on how we're going to fund the vehicles, the fire apparatus, all that sort of stuff. There's no question, every day goes by, I think about the stress we're under about getting those done and getting it started. We know it takes 2 years or so before we have to get it done. And by the way, we might be at this point now because the comptroller and I are actually looking at the debt service plan. Looking at it because in 2025 things are going to change a little bit. So maybe that's our option, right? Get something on the books now and get commitment from the Board of Finance to do something. So that we are working with them. The other thing I had down here, next year I believe is 75 years for Stony Hill. I think we should probably, I don't know if you've got a group of people together or a committee. But, from the town's perspective, we'd love to be involved and do something to get that on the calendar and, do something appropriate to honor the anniversary. So maybe put that down in their stuff. I will check into the camera project. I think we have had that same electrician come back and do a few things for us, because they were kind of undone. Or will do a few things. I'll make sure the camera thing gets done.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
Yeah.
town electrician, and I don't even think that aspect of the
Yeah.
project had even started. Literally, it was just basically IT purchasing the cameras, programming the
Yeah.
cameras, and then it was just waiting for lines to be run and outlets to be installed.
Right. I wasn't aware that this had died on the vine. Oh. So thank you for that. Let's see. Camera project. I think that was all I had. There was one thing that, I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but I have been talking to one of your members of the department, your fire training captain, right? Mr. Troy. He has I say expressed interest and showed me a plan of maybe doing some in-house fire training center type of thing in Bethel. I'm looking at it. I think, if the commission can think about it, he has an idea that, and I can get you the information down the line here, but basically Connex is on a piece of property in Bethel that we can, for very little money, put together a fire training center. And it'd be a huge opportunity for both departments to work together on it, have the PD involved in training. It could be something that down the line. So I'm scouting out property and I'll come back to this commission and see, what your guys' thoughts are, because I actually asked to come through you. And, but he has approached me about it. I think it's a pretty bang up idea. It's pretty cool. So,
Can we sell the services and training to other neighboring towns and?
I doubt that because then, you know, my understanding is then that becomes like regional fire training center and a lot of stuff. But I'm open minded. I mean, if you guys can figure out, if we do this, we figure out how the rules work.
Let's become a center of excellence.
But, you know, I think the idea is that. You know, you've had some great opportunities to work together on some of these things like water training. Whenever you get a house available, you guys can all do something. I'm sorry to get longer with the PD. You know, it's got holes in the roof and all that. But I think having something here could be really good for both departments in many, many ways. You know, the volunteerism, the training aspect. So that's something on my list I'm looking at right now. So those were some of the things that I've been thinking about talking to the commission about and we'll move forward together. I do have your information, by the way, for the truck. I have a quote that you gave me already. So yeah, that's my list. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
No, I think we're good. You have a question?
I got a couple follow-up
Yeah.
comments.
Okay, go ahead.
First thing is for clarification, and Chris Lincoln was talking about it, is both departments fundraise and pay for our own ambulances.
Yeah.
Including the operation costs.
Gotcha.
What's paid for with billing back to the town is for the paramedic service,
I got you.
okay? Both departments hire help during the day,
Got it.
paid staff. It's paid for through our department's funds, not town funds, just so that's very clear.
That's good.
The town of Belleville
Yeah.
currently does not budget any town funds for EMS services here aside from in-kind covering us on the workman's comp and fuel. Other than that, we're on our own.
And let me join in on that because that is a awesome point, because they mentioned the cost of the paramedic service.
Mhm.
That's just the paramedic service.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 3 separate entities working in town.
Yeah.
Right? Each of the fire departments has one, they do all the EMS stuff on their own.
Yeah.
They're probably looking at a service budget with what, 250, 280 a year?
More than, yeah.
I mean, that's your.
At least that.
Yeah.
More than that.
Well, I'm sorry, that's not a service budget. That's just that's the EMT. Part of it,
Just
right?
EMS for us.
EMS.
It's over, wait.
Yeah, so you look at, if you look at everything, like there could be an opportunity down the line to use one entity.
Mhm.
If we can find economy of scale, because we have, again, we're paying altogether, you know, well over $1 million. You know,
Some years ago when I was chief, I had all the numbers written down.
Yeah.
And with billing revenue and the cost of running 2 ALS ambulances 18 hours a day and one for the other remainder 6 overnight.
Yeah.
It could be funded 100% from billing.
oh, wow, okay.
I mean, that was several years ago.
Yeah.
When I put those numbers together, but.
Well, and it might
was just,
be-
it was a matter of the.
Yeah.
Each fire department wasn't willing to give up their BLS PSA at the time. And, you know, we had the ALS PSA,
Yeah.
and just nobody could come together to say, we're gonna get one ALS PSA and provide a single service.
Sure. Well, and to that point, there, one thing that is important in this, and I've talked about this from the beginning, is still maintaining some sort of connection with the EMT and the ambulance station department. That still is a big part of volunteerism, right? We need that. Like having like a whole separate ambulance association or a separate building. We do want to watch out for having like everybody not going to 2 meetings. You know, EMTs and being a member of this and that. So I think we try to find something that works for everybody.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest contention though, is, you know, the 2 departments could, well, where are we gonna house the ambulance? Whose ambulance are we gonna use what days? And, you know, that's why, you know, when I was proposing, you know, I proposed a single entity in a separate building. And I actually, had proposed when they built the police station, I proposed this, the selectmen at the time, consider a public safety. Let's build a police station and an EMS building and maybe house 1 fire truck up there, you know, in the center of town.
Yeah.
That's gonna be too much money, it's gonna be too much money. But, you know, when that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
I also suggested, you know, taking the old police station and using a part of that building as an EMS headquarters, you know, maybe knocking off the gun range and Sally Port, putting up, you know, Butler building garage.
Yeah.
Utilizing the rest of it. Never,
Unfortunately,
never
unfortunately,
really
that
went
building was-
anywhere. and-
that building was pretty much unusable. Because of the amount of asbestos and all that. So, I mean, right now, just for your education, we are looking at senior housing as the first option. But that could be, you know, some sort of ambulance house or something like that. we were talking the other day about getting just a big building, you know, putting it over there, but I think, you know, we eventually build on it, we have to put
It's,
items for people. to
you know,
use,
that's a
stuff like
central location.
That's
You come
fine.
out of that, you come out of that property and you
Yeah.
bang left and you're going to out Bethel and over to the right, the Conference Hill area, you're going down to the left to the Stone Hill area, Walnut Hill. You're
Yeah.
on up to Route 6, and you go right and you're coming down to 58, 302, 53. I mean, that's a great location for any of those buildings. Great location.
The best location is the Park and Rec building that's there.
Oh, the Market Rec building?
That would make perfect ambulance headquarters.
Mm.
You know, the other thing to consider is what you were saying too, is what is that going to do to the, morale in the firehouses if you take the ambulance out?
Yeah.
Where's the call volume really coming from? It's at least 3 to 4 times on the EMS side versus fire. Right now, we're still on 200 calls on the fire side, and I'm, at about 600 and almost between 600 and 700 on the EMS side.
Yeah.
So that's what's running them
Well,
all the
and-
time.
Yeah, totally.
Most of the time today. And that's what people come down to the fire.
Yeah, I understand the concern. I really do. I want to be cognizant of that and whatever plan we make. And by the way, that's one of the reasons I'm so. I would say I'm very interested in doing this fire training center. Because we got to give people a reason to come. Got to give people a reason to come because it's kind of like being an Air Force pilot, you know, it was 90% boredom and 10% sheer terror. It's kind of that way, you know, people want to come for the action and something to get involved in and feel like they're doing something. I understand that. And that's part of it too, like making sure as a group, we're keeping everybody engaged. I want to be clear that I'm dedicated to keeping volunteer fire departments. They need that. You know, we know what it would take if we would take.
Well, a big thing that was just submitted from that I just received is that they changed the OSHA standards for cadets and younger members. Where younger members can do more now versus where they couldn't. I have to get a copy of it to Chris and have John email you a copy of it. Where more like a vocational school where you're allowed to climb a ladder and do all. And take all the certification classes where you won't be issued your certification until you're 30.
Well, they can start
As
it.
long as you have a
16
instructor in direct contact with them, they're allowing them to do much more. Before you couldn't even step on top of a fire truck because it was more than 6 feet off the ground. Now they can stay later in firehouses, training. And,
Yeah.
So that's gonna open things up. Granted, it's not below 16, but we wouldn't take anybody below 16 anyway, but it's that 16 to 18-year-olds that we can keep them engaged now a lot more than just stand around, you know, at a distance and maybe you can see what's going on. They're allowed to participate.
So they can take the certification course, they just
Yeah.
can't actually receive their certificate until they're 18.
When can they start? I know in the high school, they do the EMT pathway. When do they start that?
In high school,
Yeah, the 16 or?
They can take that as long as they're 16 years of age.
I would assume it's 16, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Do you feel from a recruiting perspective, there's an opportunity like to do, people who want to do both? Or you,
I think it'd be more of an opportunity for both.
I mean, it kind of goes both ways because there's a lot of people that want to be firefighters and they know, well, most fire departments, if you want to be a career firefighter, expect you to be a minimum of an EMT. And to be able to be a first responder.
Okay.
So that's why some of them are getting their EMT.
thank you.
So, City of Danbury. Lieutenant here could back me up on this. The engine companies go out and run EMS when they have to, right, when you need it. Pick
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, we've run EMS. Yeah.
We're doing the same thing downtown, we're doing a lot of EMS assistant. So if stuff was combined and that was the best way to work it, we would still be running EMS assist, so. I'm sure our people would still be getting out. Today, Wednesday, every Wednesday is COG Day at the Firehouse, Trusty Old Guys Day. They started it as an older group. Fred knows who
I
they
don't
are.
participate in that.
No, but Fred knows who they are,
Well,
and now the young guys have wound onto that. Hey, 12 guys there today. Cleaning the bays. I mean, cleaning the bays, putting down stuff on the floor, scrubbing the floor, washing the floor, drying the floor. 12 guys. I mean, so, you know, and it's going on all the time now. I mean, we're up to like 130 some odd members.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a good thing. Another comment on the paramedic. I know what Nuance thinks is needed, but I gotta tell you, and I'm sure the chief will back me, both chiefs here will back me up on this. You get one EMS call that's an ALS call.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's like within seconds of one, we're getting banged out for a second one,
Mhm.
where you need the second medic. So I really don't get how they think that you don't need, you do. And as Ryan McNair had explained at that meeting that we had, you gotta look at the trends before you make the decision as to what's what. Because when you look at the trends, like today, there was one today that was within 8 minutes of each other, 9 minutes of each other, 2 ALS calls. Well, you know, that's why you want to run 2 ALS ambulances at certain times during that 24-hour period here in Bethel.
Mhm.
I don't care where they're stationed, you need to run 2.
At certain times.
Absolutely you do, but you gotta follow those trends like Ryan was explaining, and we all talked about at that meeting. That EMS meeting. Because when you follow the trends, then you know between this time and this time, it's 2. Between this time and this time, it's 1. With somebody in a car that's a same my medic.
Well, I'll be open-minded to what, you know, the EMS commission and all you guys want to do. You're the-
Chief Baker, you probably know, but you probably know more than I do, but I mean, Brookfield is similar to the town of Bethel in call value. What are they running for ALS ambulances? They're running 2 during the day for,
Two with a,
Two.
flat car.
so they run 2 ALS ambulances for all 24 hours or 18?
How's the fly card work then in that situation?
It's just available for a third.
For a third call.
Plus, they have a paramedic supervisor.
So I mean, there's the town of Brookfield running 2 ALS ambulances 24 hours a day. I mean, that's.
Well, we're sort of gonna look at what they do and
Well,
look at the numbers.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna set up a meeting with them, and
Yeah.
let Chief Baker know, because I would like Stony Hill to be there with us, so that we're all there at the same time,
Sure.
and they can explain to us exactly what they're doing. If you'd like to be there, we will make
Yeah.
sure you are invited.
We're gonna, yeah, we'll have them come to the EMS commission. So everybody sees it.
Because they said that they'll definitely sit down with us and explain what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, but they're considered town employees now. They're not, they're at that point where they took it over themselves.
They I think they still have some funding from
Yeah.
Brookfield though.
Well,
They did.
even maybe what we'll do with some of these, because at some point I'll be looping in the fire commission board.
Yeah.
And we can do joint meetings. We can
That'd
do
be
joint
great.
meeting with the EMS commission and the fire commission together for some of these things.
I think if we see their model, all of us
Yeah.
together, see their model, we can all better understand it, and then there's not 1 or 2 of us explaining it, and maybe things get misconstrued. We let them explain it to us.
Brookfield is, it's still under control of the fire company,
Yes, it is.
but it's, it's run out of a separate building. They run EMS out of their old firehouse. Which is,
It's impressive.
They just went to this year, right? This is your first year doing it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Wow.
they had VTech, so this year
Right,
was
they
their first
did,
year
and
with,
they're on their own now.
yeah, this year is the
Right.
first year.
They have their own paramedics too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're running
Yeah.
ALS ambulances. And they have very impressive equipment also. So those
It's all about the toys, isn't it? All about the equipment.
Well, the ambulances are not cheap. That's like.
No, I know
buying a- It's like buying a condo.
Well, and their staffing costs are outrageous too.
Yeah.
If there's, let's say, a third call and they have, people that wanna come in and staff the ambulance, they pay them,
Right.
so.
But I mean, those
Like money's no
ambulances,
object.
you're way up over 100K for an ambulance. Without the equipment in it.
Yeah.
That doesn't include the equipment. So, I mean, it's phenomenal.
No, we'll figure that part out. And just for your FYI, you obviously know this, fire commission may not. There was an accident with one of our fly vehicles, if you knew that or not. Wasn't our guy's fault, I should say. It wasn't Nuvance's guy's fault. The insurance is gonna pay 49 grand for it. We picked up a Tahoe for 45, plus about 9,200 to outfit it. So, town's on the hook probably for 5 grand or 4 grand or whatever that's gonna be at the end of the day. I don't know how long before it gets here, but it should be pretty quick. We looked at doing an Explorer again, probably Explorers take forever. We're talking 6 months. And we got a Tahoe for probably 2 grand less. So we're running with it. And last but not least, and I should have mentioned earlier, I did put out an email. You guys didn't get back to me yet, but if you're interested, I would love to see a Battle of the Badges softball tournament.
Or our guys are interested. I let them
Are they
know.
Yeah, we had
interested?
a few people that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're.
I think it would be a ball.
Something on a day.
Okay, Good. And the idea is that it's something we get the community to rally behind. Rooting for your favorite team. We'll probably sell shirts though that are purple, right? Red and blue. And then, do something, earn a little bit of money for a charity, like with maybe some cheap ticket sales. But then you guys would also have opportunities to sell your wares, make a little money for the departments. And, just a big community event, get everybody
I
involved.
just want to sell application.
Pardon?
I just want to sell application.
There you go. Well, you'll have
Focus
that
on
too.
giving those back.
But that's what it's all for. It's for recruiting, it's for doing something. So I'll work on that and get it off the ground. I'll contact you guys. Hey, it's forgot to mention it on my list.
It's all right.
But another thing you can add
Yes, sir.
to your unfinished list is what's going on with Inchcape.
Okay. That's what we're selling, right?
Yes.
We're trying to
Yeah.
sell.
I want it, but I don't have room to park it.
You're better off donating it to someone that's really needy, some community that's really needy.
But would it be more of a problem for them keeping it up at that age? And,
That's up to them if they want to accept it, right?
right.
It's as is.
Listen, let's call one of these firehouse delis and see if they need a truck for $5,000. All right, go around and,
And if we're talking about recruitment and retention, we need to look at how we can get the tax obligation of firefighters that are coming from out of town
mhm.
so that they can take advantage of the tax abatement.
And it also needs to be up to the full amount. To 1,000, it could be up to 2,000. That abatement can be up to 2,000.
It's 1,000 right now.
It's currently 1,000.
And it's off the assessed value, right? The assessed value of the house?
Correct.
it's an
You can
abatement.
only give the
Yeah.
member.
You can't give
Amount of
more than their
application.
tax line.
If you own real
Right.
property, cars, it's only for the car,
Yeah,
up to that.
well,
But if you have a house, then you're gonna get the 2,000.
Yeah. Full amount of your tax obligation.
I just make sure from my point, it was on the assessment side, not the credit side.
Yeah.
Because there are programs that are on the credit side, there are programs on the assessment side, like I get $1,500 abatement I'm a veteran.
Right, and that's good,
Yeah.
you should.
But I know the question we're talking about is the folks from out of town and what we can do
Right,
for them.
Well, there's two, it's the folks from out of town that deserve it.
Yeah.
And I feel everybody here that's in town deserves $2,000. You're putting in the time,
There was also a bill that was passed
it's
a
not,
few years,
it's not a lot more money to the town.
there was a bill passed a few years ago that allowed for an abatement in perpetuity for members with more than 25 years continuous service.
Mhm.
Once they reach their 25 years continuous service, as long as they continue to have a tax liability in town, they would get that abatement in
Right, and it
perpetuity.
was continuous service, it wasn't leave and come back, it was
Yeah.
continuous service.
That's a good time to talk about, because we're already talking about next year's budget.
Which really,
So we're.
which really didn't affect a whole lot of people. I think, if you look between the two departments, there's less than, two handfuls. I mean, there's probably eight members
Yeah, it's not
total.
gonna be a large amount of money.
It is not a large amount. of
No, it's
money.
not.
It's really not.
That's the thing.
But it's a meaningful thing.
Well, I
It'll
mean,
be very
that,
meaningful to the people that receive it,
Yeah.
yes.
like I said, there's not a lot of members eligible for it now.
Yeah.
But if you tell members that if you stick around here for 25 years with continuous service, you're gonna get that abatement in perpetuity,
Mhm.
as long as you have a tax, liability in town.
Yeah.
You might get these members to stick around for
Right.
25 years,
Yeah.
as opposed to,
Do your
they're
requirements
10 and
for
out.
a year, you don't just get to hang out.
I mean, that's
Do
the
your
other thing
requirements.
that we lost too, was the like the service,
Understood.
award program that now they get nothing.
Right. And then my other two comments are, one is, of course, and I talked to you about it, Dan, was ARPA. Brookfield did ARPA for everyone that worked in COVID, and I really think the town should be looking at that. It was, first they talked about EMS and fire separate, then they put everybody together. I said, no, it's for everybody that did it. It was $2,000 per person, one time payment to them through ARPA.
Yeah.
So I know it can be done.
Yeah.
Nothing has to be researched.
can be done.
Whether can we do it or not? No, it can be done.
Understood.
And I think, again.
Yeah.
Expressive, that'll mean a lot to all the people that work through that COVID. Because.
Oh, I
we
mean,
had a
God
bunch of
forbid we ever
people
have a situation like this again.
Get infected.
It gives the people the incentive to do it again.
And yeah, in both departments, we had a bunch of people that got infected that had to live through it because they went on phones. My only other comment is. Years back, and Chief Ingram will remember this. They were supposed to start putting in the budget yearly money. For apparatus refurbishment and replacement. And the sad thing is that if that had been done when it was supposed to have been started. We'd have $1 million+ in there today. That.
Yeah.
For refurbishment and replacement of apparatus. And I think the town needs to get back to that, separate account, not capital non-recurring as all of them together, no. Separate account, that's, even if you want to name it, capital non-recurring apparatus refurbishment and replacement account. I don't care what it's named, I just want it to be separate, totally. I think these gentlemen would agree with me, we need a separate fund that says this is only for fire apparatus
Mhm.
for Bethel and Stony Hill. That's how you're gonna have the money to replace equipment when it needs to be replaced and refurbish it when it needs to be refurbished. So that's part of the problem is,
Yeah.
there was never any money to refurbish anything either. So now they're all getting beyond their life, to do that. So now you're kind of stuck, you're gonna have to replace them,
Mhm.
which is sad, because if they were refurbished when they should have been,
Yeah.
even close. You get another 15, 20 years out of it, before you gotta really look at it to replace it.
No, I can assure you the Board of Finance is going to be hearing a lot about our needs. And that's all I can say. I mean, it's one of the biggest things I worry about is how we're going to pay for a lot of capital expenses.
Yeah.
In this building. A lot of issues going on in this town. And
You got a lot of roofs that are gonna need to be
we got
replaced.
roofs. Yep. We're doing some good stuff right now with the schools. We're making some repairs that'll kick that out in a few years. It's coming. This building, we had an envelope inspection. I didn't know there was such a thing. But the person who goes around and inspects, the envelope of the building, because we had some challenges. And we have a lot of work to do. So, yeah, and there's been no priority to capital expenditures for a long time.
No, it's unfortunate, it's through,
Yeah.
you know,
I know.
past administrations that, I mean, that was there, that was voted on to do that, to put that money aside every year. They ignored it.
Yeah. So who voted on the other side? Who voted on
Why
it?
they ignored it, but I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, it's very frustrating for me as chief of Bethel Fire.
Yeah.
To know that was ignored when that big pot of money would have been there earning interest
Yeah,
on top.
well, obviously, I agree, but
Per
who
year.
voted on it back then? Was it sports like that?
I think that,
It is. It's right report.
has it.
I don't, this is the whole. paper. This is,
That was prepared under the direction of Selectman Knickerbocker,
Yep.
and I think if you read through it, I think we're probably 2 apparatus behind right now.
yeah,
I believe we are.
so this is the report.
That was an apparatus needs study.
Is this the actual Holdsworth Group report or is
It
this
is.
the
Yes, it
report
is.
done off of it?
No,
I have
that's
the
the
same
actual
report.
study.
Okay, because I had that too. Can I hold on to this one? I'll scan it.
Sure.
And that talks in there about putting money aside, X amount of dollars aside
Yeah.
per year,
Oh, I know.
so we can replace the equipment. or-
I'm walking square into this thing and I get it.
I mean, I don't think anybody was really in favor of the results of that report, because I think it left out what we felt were a lot of needs, but
Yeah,
But it's something,
it was a starting point.
something to look at.
no, I understand. Right, Mr. Chairman, I feel like taking over your whole meeting.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Everybody good?
I'd
No,
rather have it all out in the open, on the record. So that
I'm good.
we can discuss it freely from now on, because
Yeah.
it's all important stuff.
We've seen all the, development on Route 6 that started with fourth floor.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Across the street.
The only other question I had was, we in the past discussed the makeup of this commission.
Mhm.
Have we done anything with that?
Not yet. We're going to be doing a charter revision. I'll be kicking off that probably next month or so, picking members. I've already asked the parties to give me their ideas. Because I'd like to get the commission formed somewhat quickly. Because, we'd like to be doing this, like finalizing in the spring. I think. So keep me posted, because that'll be part of that. We have to address it under the charter. And then we'll get input from you guys, what you want to go.
We've got to get that part changed, that lets both Chief Baker and myself designate somebody else that can speak for us in the department. Because right now, it's just us.
Once and do
Yeah.
it together, so if you're looking
Yeah.
at trying to, I don't know if it's merged, but to combine the fire commission and the EMS commission. So that we can
Yeah.
get those on the same dates, get the commissions together.
Yeah.
Talk about everything in one night, so that we're not, forcing the volunteer chiefs to come out
Yeah.
multiple times to talk about.
Well, I mean, listen,
Issues.
let's talk about that, because with respect to how we design the charter. We have lots of opportunity. We could have a first responder commission,
Yes, make public safety.
probably safety for everybody's talking. You'll have to just give it, I would ask that you all give it some real thought. To make sure that your individual needs would be met. Meaning fire, EMS, police, without, we could have one big commission, and we can do subcommittees. And there are ways to tackle this, so I'm very open to that. Very open. And I'll make sure that when we do a charter revision commission, that they actually look at that part of it and get feedback from you. Yeah, it's a great thing to have. I'd asked, in fact, I asked the, well, it looks like this month won't work, but I asked the chief to put together of the PD chief. I guess you used to do a kind of a quarterly first responder meeting or something. And I
The
asked
one that I'm
him,
aware of is he would get together with the paramedic
is
program.
that it?
And
Yeah.
we were supposed to meet
Okay.
with them.
I've asked him to expand it, just so we can all like have a first responder meeting sometime.
Good.
So everybody is in a room and can just talk about that for the chief.
You know how that came about, John, was, we used to have the EMS commission, which, I used to be on it as the chief at the time. And then all of a sudden, the EMS commission just stopped meeting. So that's when they started having the paramedic meetings like quarterly. It was,
I know they're very
it was
effective.
the two chiefs.
Concerns or issues that you have, so they want to meet.
Right,
Make sure that they're addressed on a timely basis.
but it was the overall, the EMS commission just stopped meeting, so they started having those quarterly paramedic meetings with the two chiefs, and I think Tom Gallagher was involved with, and the police chief.
I really see the need for one meeting that's cohesive for me to talk about some of the things going on. Like, we have a lot of issues, we all know that, dispatch, who takes the scene, all these things that constantly come up over and over again. And I think, when you have an event that takes place, whether it's the laundry room fire or the thing on Kingswood. Whatever they have, yeah, those are things we should hot wash out sometimes. As a group, maybe you guys, how hush it, because I just want to see the communication work. I'm the last responder. I'm not the first.
They already had that critical incident.
Yeah.
That's already been.
But so yeah, that's it for me. I don't want to.
Okay.
Move this time.
All right, well then, take a motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Peter?
Aye.
Right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Anna,
Excellent.
thank you.
I will go scan this right now.
I think I have one.
You got another one? Oh, okay.
If not, I'll steal another one from Chief McCollum. I'm sure he has another copy.
Yeah, because I have the whole ultimate